Hello, people. Hello, hello. How we all doing tonight? Skitty, Xeno, Duality, Zane. I'm having a lovely night. Oops, music's quite loud, or at least for me. I just got back from a run. I was kind of cutting it a little short. But that's okay. Oh, I caught up with the summaries that I was supposed to write, so now I have all the summaries written up to date now. I had time yesterday, after I got back from hanging out. You sound kind of tired? I am, that's why. Because I did just go running. So I was like snacking on some foods and stuff like that before stream, just to make sure I had enough energy. Hi, Crenshaw. But yeah, so, but I was busy yesterday, and by busy I mean I was hanging out with friends. There's a game called Sunhaven, and it's kind of like Stardew Valley, but with like more fantasy and more combat, and it was quite interesting. They had already been playing it for like a few days, because they always play while I'm streaming, and I was already in call with them for something else. And I was like, yeah, fuck it, I'm gonna stream. Or I'm not gonna stream, I'm gonna play with them. So, what platform is it on? I'm pretty sure it's just on PC. Yeah, I love Stardew. I have like almost 300 hours into Stardew, so when they were talking about this other game that was similar to Stardew, I was like, holy shit, sure. Hi, Willow. But yeah, it's pretty fun. I've been wanting to play more of it, but they always play during. It's unlike Stardew. It's much more accustomed or like fitting for multiplayer with like 8 to 10 people, right? Because we have like 7 people in this group, and so they all play, and they play during my stream time just because that's how the times end up working out. So I haven't been able to catch it with them. So, but that's fine. Me and another friend are probably gonna start up our own world and do that, probably after I finish reading Alternate Universe, or after I'm done with these streams. Can't stay long because I've got a whopping 3 tests to study for tomorrow. But I wanted to say hi and check what chapter we're on so I can skim for tomorrow. Hell yeah. Well, we're on chapter 35. And good luck with your tests, because holy shit, 3 tests. Oh my god. And tomorrow's like Thursday too. I guess if you're in college, then I don't know. If you're in college, then that makes sense. But I'm surprised you'd have 3 tests on a Thursday. Normally, that's like a Friday thing that you have all the tests, unless it's a college class in where nobody has college classes on Friday. Actually, that's a lie, because I literally have a college class on Friday this semester. Yeah, I updated my title on Twitch to just say that I wasn't going to be streaming. So I kind of hoped that if anybody checked, that would be there. And then I also sent a message in Unda's Discord to people that are in that channel. But yeah. So, but I've been doing a lot of drawing, been doing this and that here and there. Thank you. Every professor decided they needed to do their test on the day before spring break. Oh, that's so rough. Well, hopefully it'll make spring break nice, because it'll be like you'll get everything done and then you get to just relax. But yeah, that's rough. Good, very much good luck. Good luck with that. But yeah, we'll read the summary in a few moments. I'm gonna wait a couple more minutes to let anybody else stream in. Better than signing work over the break? True. I would rather die than work over spring break. Though nowadays with college, my spring break is a little bit different, just because of my classwork's a bit different, because we have these projects that go over the course of the whole semester. So even though they're like, yeah, it's spring break, it's like, well, but really spring break is when I should be working more hard on it, because I have nothing else to do. And I still have it due. by the end of the semester. So, you know, but that's kind of a different situation. I have a test and 2 papers due the week back from Easter weekend, so there goes that. Head and hands. Oh, that's the worst. I hate writing papers. I have to watch, I think I talked about this last stream, but I have to watch Akira and Grave of the Fireflies. And I watched Grave of the Fireflies already, but we have to write not even a very long, it's like a 2-page essay we have to write. And I still, like, even though I'm really passionate about it, and I was, like, talking to my friend about Grave of the Fireflies and, like, exactly what I would write my essay on. Like, I was talking to them about it for, like, an hour after we watched the movie. Just, like, going on and on and on. And then I go to sit down, I get out of the call, and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna get started on this essay. I go to sit down and start writing. Can't get anything out. Like, literally can't write anything. And I'm like, I just talked about this. The exact thing that I could have worded this essay to another person for an hour. And now I'm sitting here in front of a blank page, unable to write anything. It's like, what is wrong with me? Like, I'm passionate about it. I just can't put the words. So I just fucking talk to chat GPT and make it write for me. But chat GPT doesn't know. Me, an essay hater, yeah, go into humanities. This is a good career choice for me. Woof. No thanks. At least as an art major, I only have to do like 1 essay a semester. The only essay I have to do this semester is for my history of animation class. And then that's it. So that'll be nice. And they don't expect a crazy amount from me. Just voice record yourself talking about it. Truly, really, truly. That's what I need to do. I just need to, like, fucking pull Audacity up. I do this quite often because I'm a very rambly person in real life to myself. I don't know how universal this is, but there have been times where I will be reading... I'll be doing anything, but specifically, like, I remember doing it a lot when I was reading Unda's Fix for the first time. But I will, like, finish reading a chapter, and I'll be in bed. I'll be, like, sitting in bed. I will put my phone on my chest, right, or to the side, and I will sit there, and I will stare at the wall in front of me, and I will talk out loud to myself, like, discussing the chapter with myself, and, like, what this means for the characters, all sorts of stuff. I will sit there, still in bed, just, like, sitting still. Sometimes I'll get up and I'll pace around my room, and I will just talk to myself for, like, 10 to 20 to literally 30 minutes. Just talking to myself. I feel like that's, like, weird, but maybe not. Maybe everybody does that. And I'll talk about, like, the fucking, you know, oh, the way that they depicted this relationship in this, and, like, how that parallels to this thing, you know, this and this and that, blah, blah, blah. Like, I will just do that for so long. And then I'll just be normal again. I'll get back to reading. So, but I do that with everything. Like, I will just talk out loud to myself. Like, all my thoughts need to be voiced. Because if I don't voice my thoughts, then, like, where do they go? They don't stay in here. They need to go out. Imagine analyzing everything couldn't be me. I am very specific about my analysis, though. I will be like, you ask me to analyze, like, character dynamics and character relationships, I can do that all day. You ask me to analyze plot and, like, put things together, cannot. No reading comprehension. People say I'm weird for sitting alone and talking to myself at lunch, and it really gets on my nerves. You make me feel sane. Yeah, I get that. I think I don't remember doing it that much in, like, school. But the minute that that I have, like, privacy, that I'm, like, alone, I will do it like crazy. Or when I think I'm alone. Because sometimes I'll be downstairs and I'll be, like, in the kitchen, and one of my roommates will come in, and I'll be, like, talking to myself, and then I'll realize that my roommate's there, and I'll be like, oh, I was... You know, I'll put my mic, because my wireless, I'm always wearing my wireless headset just because I can use it around the house, and I'll just put my little microphone down, and I'll, like, pretend I'm talking to somebody. Me thinking about a scene way later in AU and how it plays into the overarching theme of Carcat's character, and yeah. AU is great. Oh man. Speaking of AU, I guess let's hop into it. Let's do the summary. So just quick summary for last chapter. Rose has started getting a shit ton of visions. Holy shit, they're all over the place. Looking at sunbeams, staring at sunbeams. She goes to try to confess to Kanaya, and ooh, yikes. It goes poorly. Poor her. Mostly because Kanaya's like, yeah, I am a vampire, and you are a human, and you live for like, what, like 60 years? Maybe 60, maybe more years? Can't do that to you, I'm sorry. Even though I really like you. And Rose is like, I'm gonna... she's so sad. And Karkat gets back from helping put the Vatican out of putting it out of fire, because it got lit on fire. And Solok was like, hey, Karkat, can you help me, please? Karkat's like, holy shit, fucking sure. And Karkat gets back, and Karkat's like, oh my god, Rose, what happened? And Rose tells him everything. And Karkat's like, okay, we need to have a little sesh. And by sesh, I mean I'm gonna go get 3 cartons of ice cream, and we're gonna watch movies together, and you're gonna chill. And it's so pale of them, and they both don't realize it because they're so pale for each other. It's so... giggle. Even Solux was like, you know, I'll leave you two alone. They're so pale. And yeah, that was it. That's where we kind of left off. So I am going to do this. Put my headset. Okay. We're ready. So this is chapter 35. I didn't skim this chapter ahead of time, so I'm excited, because I don't know what's gonna happen. I don't remember. Sometimes I skim, sometimes I don't. And then usually if I don't skim, it's a surprise, and I'm like, oh. Alright. Chapter 35. For everything a reason. It was a sign from God, a priest on the TV insists. Oh no, Karkat mutters, staring at the screen. It's fine, you said they were unconscious, Solix tells him, leaning over the back of Dave's sofa where you're all gathered to watch the broadcast. I mean, I think they were, Karkat says, obviously anxious. An angel, another agrees with a nod. Mostly, Karkat finishes lamely. Fucking, no, maybe they just mean... It could be metaphorical. You spend all day with your face in Bibles, then everything's going to look like... Solux tries. He struck me across the face and I felt absolved of all sin, yet I didn't die. He saved me. Another priest nods. There's a bruise on his cheek. Karkat, did you bitch slap a priest? Dave asks, leaning around you to stare at him. He wasn't breathing right. I was trying to snap him out of it, Karkat protests. And people bitch about my medical skills, June snorts. He didn't tase the man, Jade retorts. I didn't do shit with his sin either, but okay, Karkat says, waving a hand at the TV. Solux has slumped face down on the back of the sofa and is whining pitifully. Damn it, just God damn it, Solux snarls, suddenly lifting his head off the back of the sofa. His voice has this strange tone to it, and you hear Karkat yelp in surprised pain. The sound of his voice doing what you imagine is an invocation of his god leaves a strange feeling in your ears, and at your side, Dave shudders slightly too. Hey, Karkat says, clearly still stinging from that. Sorry, just... Ugh, I'm fucked. That's it. It's over. I've publicly aligned myself against the old rulership and put myself on the side of an angel. Not even one that's fallen, but one that's actively saving churches. I mean, it wasn't a win for him, but I fucked up way worse. I basically shot myself in the dick here, Soluk says hysterically. Karkat squints at him a little. In the foot. That's the expression. No one says the thing you just said, Karkat says slowly. He's got a point, not about dicks, about how bad this is. Even without Karkat there, going after the Vatican of all places. Yeah, Solux has lost this. Unless we can track this guy down so Solux can murder him, it's kind of a done deal, June says grimly. You watch as Solux just flops onto the floor and stops moving. I'm sorry, Karkat apologizes meekly. It's not you, Solux tells him, slightly muffled from the carpet. Are you just living on the floor forever now? Jade asks, and Solux makes an affirmative noise. Sol, this really doesn't seem like the kind of situation you should be handling on your own, doesn't? I mean, shouldn't your maker be doing something? Dave says uncertainly. Solux winces, like Dave just stood on his tails instead of answering. He teleports away. You can hear that it was only into the next room, and you'd wager that he's being miserable in one of his hammocks. Dave slumps, clearly unhappy that his attempt to help Solux just upset him more. June mutes the TV. The news reporters are just going over and over how much the Vatican is burned, the fact that the demons started the fire, but then reports of various miraculous places where the fire stopped and people were saved. There's the same circular arguments that demons ought to face consequences for this, that these reports of angelic assistance indicate that the gods might be coming back, or at least that god is coming back. It's crazy. What really happened? June asks. There was a lot of fire. Solux mostly wanted me to save as much as I could rather than fight demons. We saved almost everyone, and I stopped the fire around most of the largest library, but... Karkat shudders. What? Jade asks. Sorry, working in a library gives you a feeling about books. Feeling a library burning is not something I want to repeat. I saved a lot of stuff, though. Art. Inaccurate art, but still. And the Pope, so that was something, I guess. Karkat trails off, his gaze fixed on Solux's bedroom door. It's pretty clear that he feels he didn't do a good enough job if Solux is this down about it. The low mood is contagious, and the overwhelming sense of hopelessness settles over your whole group. Did you see other demons? Did you see the one from Rose's vision? June asks after a moment. I didn't see him, but he's clearly got a bunch of demons on his side, which means they're not on Solux's. Karkat answers unhappily. So there's nothing we can really do. Damn it. We're stuck playing defense now. Great. June groans and rubs her temples. What does that mean for us? Dave presses her. For all of you, hopefully nothing. As for me, I've got to go see I've got to go see my dad and get the word out that unless they have it on good authority that a demon is on Solux's side, they're not to help out with anything. Can't risk playing both sides by mistake. June says. You jump as she seems to just dissolve. She fades into nothingness, and a breeze whips through the room once, and then it's gone. Oh, was that weird for everyone else, too? Karkat asks in a slightly strangled tone. Oh, good. I thought it was just me who thought that. Jade nods. Look, I'm gonna go see if I can help Solux. I'll see you guys later, Dave says. A not so subtle code for the rest of you to excuse yourself so he can try and talk to his Moirail. You bid Dave a polite goodbye, and soon enough, you, Karkat, and Jade are standing in the hallway. Would you like a drink, Jade? We have tea, or coffee if you'd like, you offer her. We have an... Oh, this is Rose talking. Would you like a drink, Jade? We have tea or coffee if you'd like, you offer her. We have an almost hoarder level of tea and coffee, Karkat adds with a snort of derision. Much of which you bought, you point out. I never said you were the only one guilty here, he shrugs. You roll your eyes at him and then turn your attention back to Jade, who seems more than a little amused at your antics. Sure, that sounds great, she agrees with a smile. The three of you head down to your dorm, and you put water on the boil as soon as you get in. Karkat is listing off all the teas and coffees that you have so that Jade can make an educated choice, but as you look in the open cupboard that has been slowly overtaken by tea and coffee, you find your eyes drawn to one box. It's nothing special, just a black tea with chamomile pollen in it, but the light from the window is just gracing the corner of the box, and you feel compelled to choose that one. You put the tea bag in your mug and pour the water over it. Karkat slides his and Jade's mugs over, and you fill theirs too. I kind of wish green tea came out bright green, you know? Jade says wistfully. I think what you're looking for there is Mountain Dew, Karkat tells her. Ew, can you imagine that hot? Jade laughs, and Karkat's face scrunches up in a grimace. I have now, and I think you owe me compensation for ruining my mind with that concept. Ugh. He says and shudders. You pick up the tag on the end of your tea bag string and lightly tug at it, intending to agitate the tea. However, as you pull on it, the whole bag suddenly comes loose, or comes up with no tea in it at all. It does have a big split in the bottom, though. Surprise loose tea, I guess, Karkat says as you throw the ruined bag away. I suppose so, you sigh, peering into the swirling mess of tea and tea leaves in your mug. When the others have taken their tea bags out, the three of you retire to the sofa and armchair together. Despite the moment of levity Jade and Karkat had over making their tea, it seems that there's something on Jade's mind. She runs her fingertip around the edge of her mug for a moment, chewing on her lip thoughtfully. Karkat, would you do something for me? Jade asks, looking over at him. You open your mouth, trying to cut in and ask what it is Jade wants, before Karkat blithely agrees to do what a Fae asks of him. Of course, Jade is your friend and has no ill will to Karkat, but good God, he can't keep doing that. Anything, Karkat says immediately. Idiot. June was talking to me about her dad being related to my grandpa, and based on what he wrote down, June thinks that his gentleman caller is pretty definitely the actual devil, Jade explains. I guess the song was right. He did steal a soul in Georgia. You murmur. It's only when Karkat shoots you a look that you realize that might have come off as somewhat tasteless, given that you are speaking about Jade's grandfather. Well, that's actually what I was hoping you could find out for me. Your boss is married to that psychopomp, right? Would he be able to find out where my grandpa ended up? She asks. I don't know if he'd know or be able to find out subtly, but I can ask for you. That's a pretty heavy thing to know the answer to, Karkat warns her. I'm not going to make you promise to get me the answer, but if you get the chance to ask, could you? I think knowing would help with everything. Jade trails off a little at the end, and you get the feeling that you're missing a few details here of Jade's past. I'll ask for you, Karkat tells her. You sip your tea and contemplate Fae deals, promises, and obligations. How they can tie you. As you do so, your eyes drift down to your nearly empty cup, and a thought takes you. I couldn't use things like this to see before, was it? That deal I made in winter, it must have been, right? You blurt out. If that's true, then all that frustration in class was of your own making. That makes sense, actually, Karkat says thoughtfully. Does that mean you can do all that stuff now? Nothing worked, right? Jade asks. Maybe? You stammer out. Finish your tea then and find out. I'm gonna get something for you to tip it into, Karkat says eagerly and leaps to the back of the sofa to sprint a small distance to your kitchen cupboards. You drink quickly, and you're about to finish when Karkat scrambles back and hands you a saucer. You eye the tea, take a deep breath, and flip the cup. It's not the greatest cup for it, but you're well aware that really you can read the future in anything. The method is neither here nor there, it's just the framework. You try to clear your mind and turn the cup back over. There's tea leaves in it. Karkat is either holding his breath or has forgotten to keep breathing as he waits for you to say what you see. Jade looks just as eager, so you'd better get to reading. Your eyes scan the cup. There's a largest shape on the side which indicates the near future by position alone. The shape is angular, with straight lines, and the word your mind immediately leaps to is coffin. That's a coffin, you say slowly. That sounds bad, Jade winces. It could be okay. Death's a good card in tarot, Karkat says hastily, already looking it up for you. Karkat, it's a coffin. It's not going to be a sign that I'm winning a free meal at Red Lobster anytime soon, is it? You sigh. That would be so specific and very weird marketing, Jade laughs loudly. Are there other things in there too, by chance? Anything that might change the meaning of this? Karkat asks in an anxiously higher-pitched voice. Yes, but tell me what the coffin means first, you insist. Karkat looks from you to his phone a few times. Lengthy sickness or death of a loved one, Karkat answers quietly. Oh, Jade says, suddenly not so amused. I'll keep looking, you sigh and look back to your mug. It could be, the death of the loved ones of your enemies? No, that's still bad. Better comparatively for us, but Karkat cuts his ramble short and waits anxiously for whatever else you might see. A snake, you say as your eyes identify a trail of tea leaves. Oh, hey, that could be Solux, Jade says brightly. Combined with death of a loved one? I don't like that. Also, snakes are supposedly a bad omen. That's all it says. Anything else? Karkat asks. You squint. There's just one more, but you have to turn your cup to see it better. The shape is familiar. A mushroom, I think, you say and show it to him. I'm going to eat my phone, Karkat groans. What does that mean? Poison or something? Jade guesses. That'd be on par for how the rest of this has gone, but no. Mushrooms are sudden separation of lovers after a fight. Apparently, Karkat says, and puts his hands over his face. Okay, no, let me see that. Jade tuts and holds her hand out. You give her the mug, and she has a look as well. Yeah, that is what those look like, mostly. But think about it this way. The snake could literally be Solux, and the coffin could mean an actual place. That's what you had before, wasn't it? Maybe it means Solux is going to go to some famous crypt or something, Jade reasons. And the mushroom? Karkat challenges her. Could be a spade, like you and him. Could mean you go with him, Jade says with a wink. I'd prefer that reading, but it's supposed to be the first impression of the person who did the reading, not us rearranging it as we like, Karkat says quite reasonably. True, but there's nothing to say we can't get more data. Could I borrow your tarot deck? You ask. Yeah, okay, I'd rather know more about what's coming up our way. Karkat agrees and gets up. He walks over to his bag and pulls the deck out of its now slightly worn box. Looking at your narrow coffee table with drinks on it, you figure that's not the best place for it. Karkat hands you the box and you stand up too. Let's use the big table, you suggest. As you walk, you open the box, shaking the cards out into your other hand. Somehow your shoe catches on something, a bit of the carpet, who knows. The point is you stumble and the whole deck flies out of your hands and spills over the floor. All the cards show the same thing. The tower. Karkat stares at the deck in horror. What you're looking at shouldn't be possible, but here it is, and the meaning couldn't be any more clear. Disaster. The tower means disaster, Karkat whispers. As your grip slackens in shock, the last card slides out of the open tarot card box into your other hand. Numbly, you look down at the card. The devil. Karkat sucks in a sharp breath and quickly walks past you into his room, shutting the door after him. What? Jade starts. I think he's screaming in there. It looks like my first reading was pretty accurate then. Disaster, loss, death. You say slowly as you peer the devil card. As soon as you see Solux next, you'll have to tell him about this. Not that he'll like it. Actually, I should go tell Solux now. If something bad happens because I didn't pass the information on in a timely manner, I'll never forgive myself, especially if someone dies from it. You say, and after a moment's thought, you take a picture of the tarot cards on the floor and the one in your hand. I'll wait until Karkat is done having a rage fit, and then let him know. Jade agrees. That would be good, thanks. You nod, and leave her to however long a wait that'll turn out to be. You take the return trip upstairs and knock on your brother's door. He doesn't answer. You suspect because he's busy with Solux, but your information is too important to wait. You unlock the door yourself magically and consider that for a magical institution, they ought to really have better locks. The dorm is quiet, and you wait for a moment or two after closing the door for one of them to see who you are, but no one comes. People often don't get that Dave and Solux are actually dating. They aren't just best friends. People wrongly assume that just because their relationship isn't sexual, that it's not incredibly intimate. You've no more desire to walk in on Solux and Dave like that than you would like to find either of them with Karkat at such an inopportune moment. You have, though. Years ago, you walked in on Dave and Solux having a full jam, as Solux called it, because it's not something that humans have culturally. You didn't realize what you just were looking at right away. You can still remember the way that Solux was draped over Dave's lap, all bonelessly as they talked. As you said, it's intimate. I need to talk to Solux. It's important, you call out loudly. You can tell they've heard you from the shuffling and voices in the next room, but you keep your thoughts to yourself as you wait. You'd like to point out how different More Allegiance really is, and how it's silly that anyone could confuse you and Karkat for that. Without your conscious intent, your mind flickers to the church, to holding Karkat's hand. It reminds you of Karkat bringing you anything he could to make you feel better. But it's not the same. It's not. You're not interested in Karkat like that because he's a guy, and you're not interested in guys. You respect pale romance as real romance, and you won't belittle it by claiming it's not the same as real romance, so you don't. It's different with Karkat. It is. A treacherous little part of your brain reminds you about you seeking him out when you had terrible visions, but you shut that shit right down. It's not like that. Solux thankfully breaks your train of thought out by stepping out of his room. He looks a lot less like he's about to throw his hands up in the air, scream, and leave the room, so he must be feeling a little bit better. Although now he mostly just looks miserable, so you're not sure better is the word. What terrible news do you have for me now? Solux asks you warily. Yeah, maybe not better as such. I have good news and bad news, you warn him. Solux does not look enthused. On the plus side, I can now do tea leaf readings again. On the downside, I got three things in my mug. First, a snake, which is an omen of grave misfortune. You start. Sounds specious, but okay, Solux says flatly. Secondly, I got a coffin, which is the death of a loved one. I also got a mushroom, which is separation of lovers after a fight, so that's not great, you tell him. Oh, good, great, just what I need. Anything else? Solux asks, edging closer to a hysterical tone of voice. Behind him, Dave emerges from Solux's room, with his cheeks all pink and his hair suddenly all bedheaded when it hadn't been earlier. He casts a wary look at Solux, who is obviously not happy to say the least. Yes, there's more. I thought I needed more data, so I asked to borrow Karkat's tarot cards, and I dropped them. This is what I got, you say, and turn your phone around to show him. Solux's eyes widen, and one of the little ones even twitches slightly. Fuck, we're great. It's official. We're screwed, Solux shouts. Wait, no, I'm sure there's something we can do, Dave protests. I really doubt at this point. Look, the very least we can all do is stay together. Really, really all together, okay? Solux insists, turning to Dave and looking at him pleadingly. As in sleeping in the same place. We could maybe drag mattresses between the dorms and try to do what we did at Jade's Island, he suggests. Like that, but not here. At your mom's place. It's the only place that's close to safe, Solux says quickly. At night maybe, but what about classes? You ask him. Fuck classes, it doesn't matter. None of this matters. It's not... Solux grits his teeth and growls, clearly unable to tell you more. You know that Karkat is going to protest about leaving his job, but maybe he can talk Solux into taking him there and back, or bribe him into letting him go. Although you think if he tried to make an argument about the library being safe, Solux might point out that how he was literally possessed by the actual devil there recently. Dave gives you a look. You don't know how much danger he believes that you're all in, but he seems convinced that going home is the thing to do. For his part, Solux looks desperate, or so desperate that you really don't have the heart to say no, and besides which, you warned yourself to trust yourself. Ignoring your own predictions is a fool's errand. I'll tell the others, you say simply, and Solux sags with obvious relief. June takes no convincing at all, as if walking away from her classes is nothing to her. Jade seems uneasy, but you suspect that she doesn't like the idea of being left behind. Karkat, though, he takes the most convincing. I have a job. I can't just leave. I made a commitment to the library, to my boss, to Kanaya, to the books, Karkat argues. To the books, you repeat in disbelief. They have feelings, Rose. And what about Abraxas? Karkat protests, waving a hand at his stack of books, and the bookworm within curiously watching you both. You can bring Abraxas with you, you tell him in exasperation. You honestly don't know how your mother will react to the idea of having a bookworm anywhere near her library, but you'll deal with that problem when you get to it. No, Rose, I can't just go for an indefinite amount of time, Karkat says firmly and crosses his arms as if that'll convince you any more than his words will. Are you saying that my visions are wrong? You challenge him, and Karkat winces at that. He knows how much of a sore spot your loss of vision was for you. To discount the ones you're finally having now would not be the best move on his part. No, but he tries. Time to play dirty. Fine. How about this, you suggest, and move to his desk to grab his deck of tarot cards up off of it. He must have tidied up while you were away. You shake the cards out of the box and start to shuffle them as you turn to him once more. I'm sure you wouldn't stay here when you were in real danger, so I want you to make me a vow like the one you made with me and Kanaya, or with me about Kanaya. Vow that if you pull a card with any negative reading attached to it in the way it's drawn, and I'm including the death card in that you'll come back with me to my mother's house, because that'd prove that you're really in danger, and you've already said that you'd go if there was real danger, you tell him, still shuffling. You said that, not me, but Karkat hesitates. Well, you vowing wouldn't change your actions then, would it? So come on, you say, and hold one hand out to him. Karkat looks at your offered hand for a few seconds, but you see him crack. I vow that if I draw a card with negative associations in the position it's in, including the death card, that I'll go back to your mom's with you. Karkat offers. You shake his hand before he can change his mind, and you feel the tingle of magic. Can't help you notice that you didn't say how long you would stay for, but I trust you. Pick a card, any card, you say, and fan them out for him. I'm not as stupid as I look. I'm not getting stuck there for eternity. Karkat grumbles and draws a card. He looks at it, groans, and turns it around to show you. The death card. I'll help you pack, you tell him sweetly. Karkat grumbles the entire time. He packs up, but he has to follow you to meet Solux so you can leave. He vowed he would after all. Solux takes one look at his arm with the smaller set of eyes, proceeds to roll them, and calls him a fucking moron. Seriously, watching you deal with her is like watching a fly slam its stupid bug head into a window for eternity. You tune out the resulting insult match and wait for everyone else to show up. Jade and June show up about right on time, Jade and June show up right about the time that Karkat is calling Solux an impossible to deal with taint-licking idiot. Some things don't change, June observes. Should we be going or should they get a room? Jade asks, deliberately loud enough to make the pair of them realize that they have an audience. Whatever, I don't care, Solux lies. Badly. He holds a hand out and quickly a teleportation circle marks itself all around you. It seems a lot easier than it was before, although, that being said, Solux does have to pause before casting the spell, because June excitedly bounces up and down and points out the now familiar symbol in the edge of the circle. It's me, she declares gleefully. So, are you footing the magical bill for the spell or something? Jade asks curiously. She owes me, Solux grumbles, and then with a snap of his fingers, you're home. There's a million little things that combine to tell you where you are. Even blindfolded, you'd know. The feel of the familiar flooring underneath your feet, the little sounds of your childhood home, even the familiar scent of the air. It's probably 1,000 little things. The plants in the forest, the soap and the perfume of your mother's favors, the smell of burning from the fire. A demonic coup or not, it's still reassuring to be home. I'm going to go check the wards, Solux says and teleports away rather than taking the stairs. I'll go find... Never mind. Hi, Mom. Dave waves behind you. Turning around, you see your mother is in the doorway, looking at you with surprise. Her eyes narrow when she looks at June, though. Liar, get out of my house, she hisses at her. Oh, look, June snaps. She throws her hands up in the air in exasperation, and you stare as she changes. It's still June, still identifiably the same person, but she seems too real somehow. Her eyes glow a featureless blue, and her hair sways and curls in a wind that seems to just exist around her. Beads and braids glitter silver and blue in her hair as it shifts. June's clothes are blue and elaborate with the same symbol on her chest, and a long windsock-like hood floating around her in the air just behind. June folds her arms and glares at your mother irritably. The hood's kinda cool, but a cape would be better, Dave says as he flicks June's long hood. What? No, capes are lame, June scoffs. No, they're not, Karkat, owner of a cape in his native magical form, protests. Ah, man of taste, Dave nods. Miss Lalonde, I know you don't like us, but it's an emergency. There's a big demon war starting up, and we need to hide somewhere safe. I could go to Joey and Jude, but I'd be scared putting them in more danger and to be away from my friends, Jade says, ignoring the cape debate and getting to the actual issue. It's really important, or it really is important, you agree. Don't put those kids in danger, but fine. I'm watching you. Your mom warns them both. For a moment, you're not sure if your mother has fully grasped that Joey and Jude aren't kids and haven't been for a long time, but then again, she still calls you and Dave her babies, despite you both being adults. Perhaps it's the same thing. She looked after them. She may as well still consider them her kids. Wait, really? I didn't expect you to actually listen, June says in surprise, touching down on the floor from how taken aback she seemingly is. Yeah, well, you have good people vouching for you, your mom shrugs. What? We've always said June is good, Dave protests. What else do you mean? You ask her, slowly and full of suspicion. Oh, not her, June groans in despair. She said you'd say that, unless you're arguing with her judgment and want to leave, your mom asks. June grits her teeth, but you hear a grumbled no, making your mom look highly entertained indeed. With that done, she turns her attention to Dave. Could you get Solux here? I need to warn him about something, she asks sweetly. Sure. Solux! Dave yells at last part, and Solux appears a second later, looking alarmed. Mom wanted you, Dave says by way of explanation. Why don't you come when I yell your name? Why don't Sorry. Why don't you come when I yell your name? Karkat asks. Usually it's you that does that, Solux retorts without missing a beat. Your mom barks out a startled laugh, but you can see Karkat not getting it yet. Why would I come if I was yelling your... Karkat trails off as the innuendo dawns on him. The venomous look that he gives Solux does nothing at all to take away the shine of glee off his expression. Getting to turn Karkat's own comment around on him was one thing, but watching him work it out was a wholly different delight by the looks of it. It's not helped that June is a wheeze of laughing in the background with Jade. As soon as we learn how to curse people, I'm cursing you, Karkat threatens, and Solux just grins at him. You two are adorable. Solux, you need to go in the lab. I'm working on some stuff that could really hurt you if you went in there. I need you to not go in the lab. I'm working on some stuff that could really hurt you if you went in there. In fact, no one in the lab except maybe Karkat. Actually, I might need to borrow him for some experiments. Maybe get some feathers or... Your mom's expression goes unfocused, and you know from experience that she's off in her own head now. Sure enough, she pats Solux on the shoulder, vaguely, and wanders back off towards the lab. I guess we all get to stay this time, Jade says happily. You can stay with us, Karkat, Dave says quickly, looping his arm through Karkat's. Oh, and the rest of us stay in my room then. Have we devolved back to being 6? Dave, do girls have cooties again? You ask him teasingly. Solux, of course, has his own room, and if you wanted, you could spread out into there as well, but that doesn't work so well for your teasing brother. We definitely have cooties, June agrees. I don't know about that, but me and Beck had fleas once, Jade adds, and at her side, Beck makes a deep boof of a bark. Honestly, you'd forgotten Beck was even here, especially as your mother hadn't so much as commented on the hellhound suddenly in her home. Hey, he's my boyfriend. You don't get to monopolize him all the time, Dave says and pokes his tongue out at you. Heaven forbid anyone ask me. I'm just going to take the bag upstairs, Karkat mutters. I'm gonna go check the perimeter of the spell bubble from the inside for a change. Want to come back? Oh, yes you do. Who's a good boy? Who's a good boy? June coos at Beck, who jumps about eagerly. Jade laughs, and the pair of them walk off with an excitable hellhound accompanying them. Of course, Solux says slowly, levitating and inspecting his claws. If you were dating Karkat, it'd be different. We talked about this, you say stiffly. We did. Worked out that you're wrong yet? Solux says, asks, radiating smugness. We're not dating, you say between gritted teeth. Hey Sol, it's cool. She doesn't have to call it that if she doesn't want to, Dave says gently, getting between you two. It doesn't matter what I call it because that's not what's happening here. It's not, you insist, despite the introspection you've been ignoring lately. Dave gives you a look. You're too used to the sunglasses to have them be any barrier for you in understanding his expressions. He's looking like he wants to gently break something to you, and you don't like that one bit. It kinda is, though. Karkat likes you. Obviously he does. But despite the shit he says, he's actually a pretty friendly guy. He befriends books, Rose. Books. But you? Dave gestures vaguely at you. Before you fall in that pit, Dave, he's not saying you're a bitch or anything. You can just be prickly and reserved with people sometimes. I know you like Jade, for example, but how much does she really know about you? The deep down stuff. But you compare that to Karkat and it's not a contest. You took one look at that idiot and decided that he was yours and you were going to look after him, Solux points out. I don't have to listen to this, you snap and storm past them. You think you hate the way they're acting like they know you better than you do the most. You hate that you can't possibly back down or else they win. You hate all of this and... Whoa, Karkat's voice interrupts you. You nearly walked right into him. Oh, sorry, you say out of habit. It's fine, I didn't see you either. It's a tight corner and I was distracted by the... art? Karkat says diplomatically as he looks back at one of your mother's terrible decor choices. Looking at that is the last thing I need, you mutter. You alright? Wait, let me guess. Solux and or Dave? Karkat snorts, and it turns into an outright laugh when you nod. Yep, I know the brand of annoyance well, regretting making me come along here when we could have been in a separate dorm back in Salem. Karkat asks you with a teasing grin. No, I'd rather we were alive. I think I want to go meditate, though, or at least sit quietly in a room without annoying boys in it. No offense, you tell him. Please, being in a room without me, and it is my dream too. Go, let at least one of us get that. I'll distract them for you, Karkat says, walking off and shaking his head. You walk to your doorway, and just as you're opening it, you hear a startled yelp from Solux downstairs and Dave cracking up laughing. Whatever they're doing seems to have thoroughly distracted them from you. Slipping into your room, you shut the door behind you, settle yourself onto the bed. You sweep your plush toys onto the floor, your mother seemingly having replaced them in your absence. You manage to stand a minute of their shiny plastic eyes judging you before you pick them up and set them on your shelves with a silent apology to them. Your penance for your plush playmates completed, you settle on your bed in the weak sunlight and close your eyes. You allow your breathing to level out, but your mind circles back to that stupid conversation. You really should have expected this. Rose Lalonde, I'm going to fucking kill you, Karkat hisses at you, his arm delicately around your waist as he lets you stabilize yourself with your arm over his shoulder. No, you won't, you say a little weakly. I will. I'm going to remove your fucking kneecaps and play crochet with them. I'm going to fling your entrails around like wet streamers. I am going to end you. Karkat snarls and gently helps you over a fallen tree. Mixed messages, you point out. Shut up and tell me what the fuck you were thinking back there, Karkat snaps at you. Well, which is it? You ask, and Karkat's look is withering. You look back over your shoulder and see nothing but woodland. You wonder if you would normally see more. I did what I had to do. What I saw would save us all. I needed you with me, and I exchanged. You start. You gave your vision away, Rose. For years. What were you thinking? Karkat demands. I was thinking that this needed to be done, and I'm unneeded for a while anyway, and if I'm wrong, then it's a bad deal for them, and it won't matter for me, you tell him. Karkat's mouth moves silently, and you catch a few stunted and abandoned beginnings of words, but he can't seem to pick one. Can you just take me home? I feel a little worse than I thought I would, you admit. Karkat's expression shifts from anger to sympathy. No, pity, you remind yourself. Of course I can. If I didn't, you might barter something else away on your way there. Karkat grumbles, but nicely. He's like that. He pulls you close and you watch his wings unfurl. He takes off in a whisper of flight, and you close your eyes against the sun and simply hold on. When he lands barely any time later, you find yourself a little unsteady, and so Karkat makes the executive decision to bear most of your weight for you. The two of you totter over the rooftop to your penthouse apartment. The small garden you've grown fragrant around you, but not enough to dissipate the smell of the exhaust from the New York City traffic below. You unlock the door and Karkat skips the spiral steps, instead briefly fluttering down to your main floor with wings that are gone in an instant. He studies you for a moment, then lets you go. Why on earth would you give the Fae or anyone your sight? Karkat presses you. Don't worry, I looked in advance at all I'd need to know. I have every date and location you need it to be for your little rendezvous in the future. They're all stored away, you assure him. I wasn't asking because I was worried you weren't going to be useful anymore. You know Karkat bites back his words and scowls out of the window. I wasn't saying you were, you tell him. Neither of you are saying what you really mean. You've both talked at length with each other many, many times. At first, your motives had just been curiosity and knowing that he was a piece in your puzzle. You needed to understand him to know where best to place him. But it's more than that now. You're friends. Angels are very interesting, of course. Their society is different from yours, and even their basic biology. Perhaps you shouldn't say biology, because Karkat's human form is very human, or at least his best approximation. But parts of his actual form tie to this physical one in odd ways. There are quirks, as it were. I wouldn't do this if it wasn't needed, and I needed you there, not just for support, but because you're vital. But I very much did need your support. Giving up a whole sense is... You swallow thickly. You don't admit things like this. Frightening, you admit. And you couldn't have given me a heads up? Karkat asks, not accusingly, but he's assuming correctly that things had to go down that way. You nod and Karkat sighs, more exasperation than irritation. You take advantage of his not-quite-humanness and reach for his face. Your intent matters. It's like a spell, almost, activated by touch. Your intent is to soothe, to apologize for frightening him, and to make it up to him. Your fingers trace along what textbooks have told you would be the zygomatic bone on humans, under the orbit of his eyes, and the dark circles that always reside there. You feel the quiet intent to shush his anxieties like a disapproving librarian, and your fingers trail across his cheek. There's a hint of golden glow there, like a magic eye picture, and before, when you've done this, if you relax your vision and unfocus your gaze, you swear you can see turning rings in the glow before it fades. For angels, this kind of thing is, well, romantic. They have a whole system of romance built around it, but at least for you, it doesn't mesh well with your own understanding of romance. To you, this isn't romantic, but Karkat also is not just your friend. It's complicated. Are you going to be okay without your vision? I mean, obviously you can normally see, but, Karkat's question trails off as your thumb traces the same path that your fingers had. I'll survive, you tell him. There's a moment of quiet after you've stopped derailing his brain. Your eyes are on his cheeks, even though the glow and the hint of the rings has long gone, and he too is just watching you. You've both settled on behaving this way and just not calling it anything, which has suited your inclinations to keep poking at this thing, but stopped him referring to you in any way that makes you feel weird. An arrangement which you're aware suits you more than it does him. You decide that you're going to sit down, and do so, pulling him with you and making him curse in startled alarm as you drag him down. There's a black faux bearskin rug on your floor that's perfect for this. Give me a little goddamn warning, he bitches. No, let me see your wings. Since you flew me here, I should check them over, you tell him. Karkat knows how this is going to go, so he just shakes his head fondly and settles down on the rug on the front. When he's comfortable, he stretches his wings out of nowhere and spreads them out on your expansive floor space. Only, he says, and jerks one back as you reach for it, if you tell me how your visit with your mother went. You pull a face. You hate talking about her, and you would never for anyone else, but for Karkat you'll oblige. You start to answer, and Karkat lowers his wings into your grasp again. You comb through his feathers with your long black nails, setting them in place and working loose any feathers due to shed out. It's meditative in a way that knitting is for you. Your hands and eyes are occupied on a reasonably detailed task, and it leaves your mouth free to talk without so much anxiety or self-censorship. Same as always, really. She's still not right. I tried to get her to cut back on the drinking, but at this point she just won't listen to me. It does stop her from cutting things up all over the place, but the things she brews in her labs when she's drunk are so dangerous. I feel like I should still be back there sometimes, you admit guiltily. But you said it was so fraught that you couldn't be in enough places to help. If she's less stressed without you, then being away is you doing the right thing for her, Karkat reminds you. I know, but it feels like I'm a terrible daughter who abandoned her mother, you say grimly. That's an understandable thing to, Karkat gasps as you work your fingernail over a feather that's nearly ready to go. You carefully wiggle it, and it comes out easy enough, leaving Karkat boneless on your rug. You twirl the molted feather between your fingers. It's longer than your forearm. Karkat burbles some nonsensical syllables into your rug, and you feel yourself smiling despite the previous topic at hand. Say again, you suggest, and tuck the long finger into the band of your hat. Karkat mumbles and turns his head a little so he's not talking to the floor anymore. Your situation sucks, but you're doing what you can. You feel guilty because you care, he assures you, his tone slightly dreamy. You contemplate his words as you preen more of his feathers for him. His logic makes sense, but it doesn't feel true in your gut. You feel like you should be doing more, that your family shouldn't be as it is, but Karkat is right. You are doing what you can do. You go back and help when you're able to. You send her everything she needs. You try. You're allowed to have conflicted feelings about it because of how you were brought up, Karkat adds, really hitting the nail on the head and making you wince. Instead of saying anything, you shift to the other wing and take the cue to talk about his thing now. That's the deal. One wing is your issue, and the other is his. How are things with your maker? You ask him, and you feel his muscles tense in his wing. You have to rub soothingly between the feathers to stop it. Karkat grits his teeth. His Moirail is giving him ideas. I told you about Eridan, right? Your sort of friend, you ask. Karkat can't tell people about the things he does, or really things because it's too dangerous, too unsafe. He's sort of friends with this guy, from what he said. He likes him, and they talk, They hang out and talk about what Aridin wants to talk about, but Karkat can't express anything more than shallow thoughts and opinions on trivial matters without putting himself in danger. It's a strained and uneven relationship, and Karkat has expressed guilt before at not being able to be a better friend. Yeah, him. Karkat sighs and his wings sag despondently. What about him? You prompt and preen more. His maker and mine are Moirails. His maker was the one who got Kankri to make him better. He wants me and Aridin to be Moirails to make me better, Karkat says miserably. Your fingers freeze on a slightly wonky feather that you were setting back in place. Karkat being Aridin's Moirail? That's aside from the obvious risk there to Karkat. The mere thought of someone taking all the good things out of Karkat to make him dull and compliant is so deeply wrong. It's so wrong that you want to ask Karkat how to kill an angel, and then how to summon Aridin and his bitch of a maker so you can personally take them both out. Moreover, your hands are trembling with rage at the thought of this Aridin guy being Karkat's Moirail. Karkat's wing moves, folds, and Karkat rolls over to look at you. Rose, he asks softly. Don't do it, you plead. I don't want to. I don't feel that for him. Really, I don't, Karkat assures you. The thought hurts, and Karkat's expression tells you that he knows, and he wishes he could make it better. You don't... It's not romantic. Not like when you see women in films and your heart races. When you imagine yourself sweeping the heroine off of her feet, or being that heroine to the female lead in whatever you're watching. It's not when you see a girl in a bar and you want to taste her lip gloss or take her home. Though you never do that, you still want it. It's not that desire to touch and find a connection with another woman, to wear matching sweaters and cuddle up in front of the fire with her, to adopt a cat or two and give them absurd but wonderful names. It's not that. But it's not that. You want to stroke Karkat's cheek and make him feel better, to preen his wings and talk to him. You don't want to be a Hallmark couple with Karkat, but you can see yourself trading gossip with him when you're old and leaning against a railing in the snow, holding mugs of coffee. You don't want to get him into bed, but the thought of someone hurting him makes you want blood and violence. He isn't just your friend. You're not an angel, and humans don't do moral allegiance, but here you are. You lean forward and kiss him, and it's nothing like the kisses you imagined with girls. It's not a gasp of excitement, it's a sigh of relief. It's the furthest thing from sexual and is chaste even by kid cartoon standards, but it's a lot. You're still gay, and this isn't that kind of romance, but it sure as shit is some kind of romance. There's an attempt to mentally catalog the kiss in what little of your brain isn't absorbed in actually living the sensation. It feels like when a spell hasn't been working, and you finally found what part of it was off. A sense of satisfaction to see everything right and working in harmony. It's cooling, soothing, and emotional way somehow. You'd been upset a moment ago at Karkat being someone else's Moirail, someone who wasn't good enough for him, and anxious about this very kiss, but now all that has gone quiet. You're okay, and he's okay. You're both here, and it's just better. That's how it feels. You pull back from Karkat just enough so your noses are ever so slightly touching. You can feel him breathing, even though he doesn't need to, and it occurs to you that the air he's breathing was the air you just breathed, which may be the dumbest thing you've ever thought, but here you go. I don't want him to be your Moirail, you say, emphasizing the him in that statement. I don't either, Karkat agrees quietly. I want to be your Moirail, you add, in case that wasn't clear. But you said, Karkat starts. I know what I said, you tell him. Oh, Karkat says quietly. Cool. Karkat pulls back and grimaces as he realizes that he just said cool to your confession, but that's it. He's said it now. It's probably mean to laugh in your Moirail's face, but you can't help it. Shut up, Karkat snaps, shoving you in the shoulder. You smile back at him and shove him in return. You can enjoy this. Besides, what's the harm in enjoying this now? You won't remember it soon. Rose? Your eyes snap open. Dave is looking at you around your bedroom door. It's been a while, and we have pizza now, so want to come downstairs? Also, I'm sorry about earlier. Dave apologizes. Right, he's apologizing about acting like Karkat was your Moirail in all but name, apologizing for Soluk saying that Karkat is your Moirail, which apparently he was, only you and he both forgot, and yet when you met him, you both gravitated back towards this thing you have now, this not but sort of is more allegiance. You curl over and cover your face with your hands. Fuck, you whisper with feeling. Concerning. Concerned is how I feel now. Is this about pizza? Dave asks worriedly, and you hear him edge his way into your room. It's not about pizza, you laugh a little helplessly. So it's not that you don't have pizza or that you don't want pizza, Dave says uncertainly. Pizza's not involved in this equation. I'm fine, you insist and look up at him. He looks dubious. You get up, sidestepping both Dave and the topic at hand, and walk past him down the stairs. There's the scent of fresh pizza wafting up towards you, and despite everything, your mouth waters. No, give it back. That's not for dogs, Karkat yelps distantly. You hear the skittering of claws on the polished floor and watch as Beck sprints past with a large slice of pizza in his mouth, Karkat hot on his heels. As you hurry down the stairs, you can see the others howling in laughter. You and Dave peer around the corner to see Karkat trying to wrest a slice of pizza from an unwilling hellhound. Drop it! Drop! Karkat orders him, but Beck growls and sinks his teeth into the crust a little more. Bad dog, Karkat scolds Beck. The hellhound's growl becomes deeper, and in a flicker of movement, Beck suddenly has 3 heads with gnashing teeth. Karkat yelps, lets go of the pizza, and falls on his ass, as Beck turns back to normal and chomps on his prize down in one. Ah, he's leaving his adolescence stage, Solux exclaims delightedly and zips over. His adolescence stage? Dave asks from a step above you. As puppies, hellhounds have all these defense mechanisms like venomous spines or tentacles, acid spit, things like that. When they're adolescent, they move to a more dog or wolf-like form like Beck is now. They can still do that stuff, but it's not always out. Adult ones tend to have multiple heads a lot of the time, and they get real big. Him shifting like that means he's growing up. Oh, who's a big boy? Yes, you are. Solok switches from explaining to baby talking Beck without pause. Karkat watches in mild horror as the previously multi-headed hellhound who stole his pizza flops over and gets belly rubs from Solux. What do they look like? What do they look like as adults then? I mean, what do you think he'll look like? Jade asks eagerly as she hurries over and gets in on the Beck petting. I'll just get more pizza then. Are you coming? Karkat asks, looking up at you. Yes, I'll try to keep it out of Beck's range if there is such a thing. You nod in agreement. Looking at Beck is easier than looking at Karkat, especially knowing what you know now. That wasn't some dream. That was a memory. It was what happened after your first visit to Winter. Karkat was your Moirail. Still is, you suppose. Or does that even count when neither of you remember it? It seemed to count when Solux was the only one who remembered that he and Karkat had been dating, but now you're in the same position as he. You follow Karkat to the kitchen, where you find June distractedly eating pizza with one hand and texting with the other. It's strange seeing her in her more godly form like this the whole time, but as your mother is loitering suspiciously near the coffee maker, you suppose it's the only thing that's allowing her to be here. You millennials on your phones, Karkat says deadpanned. I am so much older than, June starts. Like I said, been around for a millennia, therefore you're a millennial. Obviously. Karkat grins at her. June snickers and points her phone at Karkat. You got me there, she agrees with a laugh. You look at Karkat, and it sticks in your mind, the thought that you got him here on what you will admit was something of a mean trick just so he'd be safe. You protected him. You were his Moirail. Having an existential crisis? You? Never. Dave moved past you and sits next to Karkat, slinging his arm around Karkat's shoulder. I'm back, Dave tells him. No shit. Karkat replies and rolls his eyes. You smell like pepperoni, Dave says without prompting. I'm swooning over here, Casanova. Got any other lines like that? Karkat snorts. Dave seems to consider this. I like pepperoni? He tries, and in response, Karkat shoves a slice of pizza at his face that Dave just catches in time. The coffee machine clicks on the counter, and your mother takes her now full cup away. She eyes Solux as she walks back into the kitchen, carrying Beck on his hip. Despite being a huge dog, or at least a dog-shaped thing, he's incredibly delighted at being carried around. Beck's mouth is open in a canine grin, with his glowing green tongue lolling out on the side. Solux stops next to Dave, who manages to multitask giving ear scratches to Beck and keeping his own slice of pizza away from the hungry hellhound. You keep him out of the lab, too. Don't want to test on animals, your mother reminds you all ominously. He'll stay out, Solux promises quietly, squeezing Beck a little closer. Your mom nods, steals a slice of pizza, and then retreats to her lab. You try to eat dinner and not consider everything you now know about Karkat. You don't know what to do with all this information, and though Karkat has a right to know, it's not something you're ready to bring up just yet. Instead, you just eat your pizza and wait. It feels like waiting. You don't know what you're waiting for exactly, but each day you pass at your mother's home feels like another day closer to something. Your dreams seem to get more fragmented the closer you get to the full moon, unnerving and unhelpful all at once. One night you dream of sitting in your cat's mausoleum, repairing that gray Solux doll, crocheting the split in his side back together. Another night you dream of a bird on fire, shrieking in pain. That one wakes you up sobbing, though thankfully you slept in late enough that it's not strange to seek Karkat out until the panic fades. Another night you dream of June pinned beneath bricks of a fallen tower, her breathing ragged. On the 12th of February, your dream is both very visceral and not your own. The images and sounds slide into your mind on thin, inky tendrils belonging to your former patron, reaching down from the full moon hanging in the sky above you. You dream of the same impossibly dark place that you saw before. You feel great and hungry things stalking out each other, but your focus is directed to one such hunt, a flicker of green in the dark, enough to snag Cthulhu's attention as he sends out an impossibly vast inky tendril to observe. She flees, tired and seemingly afraid, but he's close behind, stalking in the darkness, invisible but leaving an impression of orange. There's movement, a shout, and green blood bubbling around, teeth dug in tight. You startle awake that morning, jabbing Jade in the ribs with your elbow as you jerk into alertness. You grab June and Jade both and walk across to Dave's room. Solux is on the windowsill, eyes already turned to you. Karkat and Dave are curled up together, but Solux jumping down to the floor disturbs Dave enough to wake him up. I had a dream, you tell him, and Solux's face falls. Karkat and Dave sit up in bed as you explain it. More impressions than anything, but the feeling seems important to you. Important enough for Cthulhu to pass it on to you. She's green. Sorry, Solux. My, deity. I mean, she's green. Does that... And that sounds like Karkat starts. He's killed her. Your god is dead, Solux says gravely. I mean, that might not be terrible news. It's not like we were the biggest fans of her. They both suck. It just isn't great that he's the one who would have gotten that power spike, June reasons. If he gets out, he's going to be more powerful than ever, Solux argues. If it's a closed system, being that strong will put a target on his back, and backstabbing is kind of what a lot of them are known for. They're burning power just existing in there. As long as things stay okay, it'll be okay, June assures him. We've passed okay months back, June. This is terrible news, Solux snaps. Can we actually do anything about it, though? Dave interrupts. Solux's shoulders slump, and June shakes her head. So we're in the same position we were before. We just know a little more now, and that's good, but if there's literally nothing we can do, then panicking isn't going to fix anything, Dave reasons. I guess we're just gonna have to be on alert, which we already were, Karkat agrees. Great, so go back to bed, Dave says and falls back onto his bed in a very pointed indication that the conversation is over. You do, but it doesn't set you much at ease, and the next day you're on edge. On the 13th of February, when you go to sleep that night, your dream is different. You glint off of the mirror, and you hear a muffled noise of displeasure. The mirror is adjusted, and you can see Dave's face, partly covered with shaving foam. He pulls a dumb expression as he runs the razor over his cheek. You watch as he rinses his razor and moves to his neck. You can see up his nose with the way he's tipping his head back, and you have to say you're not a fan. A knock on the door makes him pause, though it's not the bathroom door because that's open. Can you get that? Dave asks. Sure can, Solux says, playing on an old Game Boy and not moving towards the door at all. In fact, he stays sat on Dave's bed, and you get to witness Dave's red eyes roll in irritation. Open the door, dumbass, Dave tells him. Fine, Solux sighs and floats over to the door. He opens it and looks at whoever is on the other side. Sorry, we didn't order any idiots. You have the wrong address, Solux sneers. Then why are you here? Karkat's voice floats through the door. You watch Dave shave as behind him, Solux and Karkat smack at each other through the partly open door. Karkat only wins by surprising Solux with a sudden deployment of his wings. Aha! Karkat cheers victoriously as Dave presses his lips together to shave just below his nose. What do you want, bird brain? Solux asks and gets slapped with a wing for doing so. Dave examines his face, free of hair but still somewhat foamy, and then bends down to splash it with water from the tap. You get to see Karkat's attention derail as he looks at Dave. Oh sure, Dave bends over and your ability to pay attention goes out the window, Solux snorts. What? No, that wasn't. Karkat protests hotly. Karkat, how could you objectify me so? Dave simpers, all fake falsetto. He even goes all duck-lipped and arches his back a little and really pushes the joke. All three idiots break down in laughter that goes on for a silly amount of time. Eventually, Dave stands up properly and dries his face off. What's up aside from my hotness level? Dave asks, leaning against the bathroom door. I was thinking about tonight, Karkat begins. I know we were supposed to be doing something for Valentine's Day, dude, but we're kind of stuck here. We can't just have two of us going out. I know it's not ideal, but... Dave starts. No, shut up. I had an idea. Karkat interrupts. Ah, telling your boyfriend to shut up. Peak romance. Soluk sighs. Works with you. Anyway, my idea was this. We were going to go do something, but we can't go places alone. Jade isn't dating anyone, but wants to keep Beck with her, and Rose, Karkat hesitates. We know about the Kanaya thing, Dave tells him. You do? Oh, thank fuck. I was trying to work out how to talk around it. Karkat sighs with obvious relief. She is my sister. We do talk sometimes. Besides, she needed to explain why I had to cover for her. It sucks that Kanaya shot her down. I really thought that was going to be a thing, Dave says sadly. It's more emotion than he expressed when you told him privately. You think he was trying to play it cool to avoid upsetting you. Well, good. I figure Valentine's Day might be a sore spot this year, so all of us going out together might be a good alternative. Plus, demons don't do Valentine's Day, so I'm guessing you don't have other plans, Karkat says and looks at Solux. No, but what were you thinking? Solux asks. I looked online, and there's loads of stuff going on in Central Park. Food stalls, marketplaces, rides. Obviously, a lot of it's pricey, exclusive stuff, but there's plenty of stuff that isn't, and it's dog-friendly, Karkat says eagerly. That sounds really cool for everyone, actually, Dave nods. Plus, June got ditched, Solux agrees. I thought June dating Terezi was a secret, Dave says in surprise. You didn't know that, that's for sure. Well, it's not now, is it? But whatever. I can be petty about June's secrets. Yeah, Terezi is apparently spending Valentine's with her other girlfriend, so June's all on her own, Solux explains. I didn't know about that, but I guess it would have been hard to explain how she was dating a dragon unless she could also fly and was also really strong from being a god. Wait, are they pitched too? Karkat asks eagerly and Solux nods. Is this even something we can do, though? Dave asks Solux, getting the conversation back on track. We might have to bail, but as long as we stick more or less together, it's doable. Besides, I've already lost all credibility. Acting like I'm hiding isn't going to help. I am hiding, but that's not the point. Solux shrugs. So, yes then? Karkat asks. Solux nods, and Dave grins. I'm gonna go ask June, then I'll hit up Rose. I'll make coffee so she doesn't claw my face off for waking her up, Dave says eagerly. I'll run it past Jade, but I bet she'd be up for it. Karkat nods. Dave throws a shirt on and hurries out the door, leaving Karkat and Solux alone. So, you said demons don't do Valentine's Day, but, made you this, Karkat says, and pulls a thick paper card out of his bag and hands it to Solux. Despite being on nice cardstock and carefully lettered in black ink, it's very clear it's handmade. Oh, what, you made me a car? What are you for? Solux's speech trails off mid-word as he stares down at the card in his hands. His eyes flicker over and you watch with interest as he gently opens it. You know Karkat poured all over the books for that for hours upon hours. As Solux looks inside, there's a soft glow on his face for a moment, and you know it's the spell that Karkat put in there, a variation on the one you saw on your first day of class. You don't... Solux's voice wavers as he pauses to collect himself. How did you learn to write this? You couldn't write this before. I am a student. I do study things sometimes. It's not all life and death escapades. Sometimes I study how to write things in very closely guarded languages for, you. Is my spelling alright? Karkat asks that last part nervously. There's one bit where, spelling is stupid. It phonetically makes sense. And you learned this for me? Solux seems quick to brush aside any errors Karkat made in trying to transcribe those recordings that he had in Turin Demonic. Yeah, Karkat nods. Solux ever so carefully sets the card down on Dave's desk, even stepping back from it when, with his hands held out ready to catch it should it fall. Satisfied that it's not going to come to any harm, Solux nods and then turns back towards Karkat. Karkat's still got his wings out, and you can see from the way they're pulling in close to him that he's a little nervous. Is it alright? I didn't do anything wrong. Or Karkat backs up as Solix advances on him. Solix shoves him backwards until his wings and then back hit the door and kisses him. Oh, you really don't want to or need to see this. You instead study the floor and very hard try to will this vision away. Solix, stop the door, Karkat squeaks. You glance up now to see Solix gesture vaguely at the door as a silencing spell inks itself in there in glowing gold demonic letters. There, now. Rose, don't kill me, I have coffee, Dave says. You open your eyes. You're alone in bed and you can see that it's late morning, both from where the sun is on your wall and the clock on your bedside table. The door is slightly cracked and you can see Dave's hand holding a mug of coffee through the gap. That sure was some good timing. You haven't thrown anything at it. I assume I can come in? Dave says and peers around the door. Yes, please. I was in the middle of another vision, you tell him, opening your hand to accept the mug of coffee. Oh, not a bad one, right? Please, man, not more bad news, Dave says, freezing in place. You sigh and lean over to retrieve your coffee and sit back and sip it with anticipation. No, it wasn't. Also, I would love to go to Central Park with everyone tonight, you say with a smile. Oh man, that's not fair, Dave grumbles. It's not as if I choose what to see. Also, thank you for waking me when you did, because I was stuck sitting in that room and you left just as Karkat was giving Solux a thoughtful Valentine's Day gift. I didn't need to keep watching that further, thanks, you say with a grimace. Dave glances back in the direction of the hallway and his room on the other side and laughs knowingly. You're welcome, I guess. You think we can drive to Central Park? I mean, it's not close, but Solix has a car, and we never use it, and that's gotta be some kind of crime. Besides, all piling into a car together, going off doing something dumb is like primo college experience, Dave says, and suddenly gleeful at the idea of the experience. You'd almost suggest sneaking out to do this, to add, but that might actually worry your mother, and you don't want to do that. Your heart sinks a little at that thought, and you drink your coffee in silence for a moment. In that memory you had about Karkat, you talked to him about your relationship with your mother. You were clearly in a worse place with her than compared to now. What was so different? I'm sure if you ask Solux, he'll drive us there. Just perhaps ask him later, you suggest. You pass a lot of the day knitting, as you have a lot lately, and by the time you're all getting ready to go, you've finished a scarf for Karkat that is gray with a diamond knit pattern to it. It's only when you're holding the thing that you realize the implication of that and you have to take a moment to scream into the thing. Still, you give it to him anyway. Here, it's cold, you say offhandedly to Karkat as you hand the scarf over as you're about to leave. You expect some remark from Solux as Karkat puts it on and marvels at the pattern, but you suppose you have Karkat to thank for the suspiciously good mood that Solux has been in all day. It's so soft. I promise not to give this one away, Karkat says sincerely. If you feel the need, by all means, you laugh. Okay, Mom, call us if you need us, right? You're gonna be okay on your own? Dave asks her worriedly. Aw, sweetie, I'm not gonna be on my own. Terezi's coming over, your mom says cheerily and kisses Dave on the cheek. Oh, wait, no. Solux said that June was dating Terezi, and she wasn't around because she was seeing her other girlfriend. Dave and June's expressions flash through horror and total denial in sync, while Karkat's face morphs into the far too blank look of someone pretending not to know something. Huh. Have fun. Come on. Solux sighs and pulls Dave away by the back of his hoodie. Bye, you say uneasily and leave. Your mother has never dated anyone, and you suppose that Terezi is old enough, has spent time with her, and knew her from way back, but still. Wow. What? Dave whispers as you walk along. There's no way. I'm texting her. She has to be pranking me, June says, fervently tapping away at her phone. What am I missing? Jade asks as your group all tries to process this information, except Solux, who has seemingly decided that this is fine and he doesn't care. June's dating Terezi, and it turns out Terezi might be getting it with Roxy, Solux explains. Solux! June hisses at him, but Solux seemingly couldn't give a fuck. Did your girlfriend fuck my mom, June? Are they gonna get married? Is my stepmom gonna be a dragon? Dave demands, bordering on hysteria. I suppose she could have worse influences, and she does seem to enjoy the company, you reason. That's a good way to look at it. She deserves to be happy, Karkat agrees, and though this feels weird, certainly, you feel a little better about it. No, no one should be fucking my mom. She's my mom, Dave insists loudly. I mean, surely someone did. How else do you think you got here? Jade points out. Mitosis, that's how I got here, Dave insists. We're twins, so I suppose you're not entirely wrong, you concede. He's not wrong, but also, ick, Solok says from ahead and grimaces. Right, he's not a fan of reproduction. Alright, yes, but fucking happened before then, Jade says, persisting on her point. Dave very maturely jams his finger in his ears and insists that he's not listening. Apparently not a prank. They are dating, I guess. What the hell? June says slowly. Did you all fail biology? You're fraternal twins, no separation involved. Although you're blatantly missing Jade's point, Karkat says with exasperation, and hops off a large rock to land on the path near the front with Solux. You suppose he is right about that. Silly that it didn't occur to you, but you figure that the shock of your mother dating a literal dragon excuses you. Actually, you shouldn't be surprised. Her getting involved with powerful magical forces is basically her life mission. You could trap your mother with a button labeled "Very Dangerous, Do Not Touch," and come back to find her dismantling it to see how it works. All you need is a box around it, and a stick to pull away and drop the box. Ah, road, Soluk sighs. You blink, and in one moment there's no red car, and the next there is. This might be a bit of a squeeze, actually, you say as you consider the car. It's fine, Soluk shrugs and gets in the driver's side. Dave hops in the front passenger side, pulling Karkat with him. You open the back door and stare in amazement that the front of the car now appears to have a bench set up, when it decidedly wasn't so before. On top of that, the back seats of the car have shifted, and there's a wide open space with a steel ring protruding from the front seats and a large pillow beneath it. Seeing his place, Beck hops onto the large cushion, and Jade ducks in to clip his leash to the ring provided. Not that you've ever seen Beck needing a leash. He has only one, so Jade can take him places that get funny about dogs with them. With Beck secured, the three of you settle comfortably into the back, and you pull the door shut. Solux pulls away and idly clicks the radio. The same voice you recall from last time you were in the car comes on. They sound nervous, their voice hushed. Welcome back. This one's for someone familiar to me, they say quietly. Why'd you call me that instead of the feckin'... Alright, order change, Solux mutters. You listen as the song slowly plays and thrums through the speaker. Spent the last year going out of my mind, looking for a reason I could never find, until I put my finger on it and every sign. Take all you can get and keep your finger off mine. You lean back in your seat and think about how crazy things have been lately. How about a year ago you couldn't have anticipated any of this. Sitting in the tower without a clue or care, anchored by opportunities hanging off of my hair, hanging silver ladders out to anyone who dares, to climb all the way up to the top just to get kicked down the stairs. Solux winces a little at that line, though you don't know why. Being pulled a million ways all the same time, it's enough to make anyone go insane when you find yourself forgetting all your own rhymes and giving up on the dreams floating around in your brain. Your mind starts to drift, as does your gaze, out of the window, and the moon hangs heavy in the sky, filled with terrible things. That said, Dave is right in his own way that there's nothing you can do about it, so you may as well just relax. The song on the radio ends and fades out to short, sharp, and panicked breaths. You can hear a quiet scuffling, and then, with the sound of a voice too close to a microphone, the demon speaking again. Now, something, anything by... I don't know how, but they found me. I'm sorry. There's a slam of a mic against something, and several seconds of frenzied footsteps from several feet, and a crash, a song starts. Fuck, Sarava, lose them please, Solux whispers in horror. Despite the lyrics, the song sounds upbeat, and when it ends, there's nothing coming through the radio but static. Several minutes go by before Solux turns the radio off in grim silence. June and Jade try to carry the conversation on, and though it's uneasy and awkward, it does pick up by the time you're in New York City properly, and everyone is more relaxed. Solux seems to magic a space out of nowhere, and it does something to avoid paying for it all. Despite living in the same state, you don't come to New York City itself all that often. Your mother could never take you, and things you may have wanted could either be found in your own town or acquired online. Failing that, you could bribe Solux to take you somewhere or bring you something, so it's nice to be here with everyone on just a nice trip out, and not to say break into government buildings. Not that you'd ever do that. Jade laces her fingers with yours as your group walks to Central Park. There's pink and red lighting scattered around, gorgeous art displays just set up, and all sorts of people. There's an ice rink set up that looks fun despite Solux's insistence that he's not interested in ice. You all decide you'll have a go, at least until you see the eye-watering price and decide to move on. They are just disgustingly cute, Solux says into your ear as he throws his arms around your shoulder and nudges your field of view just enough so you can see Dave and Karkat lingering over a stall, selling heart-shaped churros. But he's being so sincere, you whisper back with a giggle as Dave seems to make the decision to buy one for him and Karkat to share. Karkat is predictably aflutter about the whole thing, the romantic he is. You and Solux snicker together, and despite knowing that Karkat set this up so you wouldn't be alone on Valentine's Day, it actually is helping, and genuinely a nice night. The path you wind through Central Park becomes a little less artsy and a little more country fare. "Hey, demon!" someone shouts out, making your whole group jump and look around. Standing by a booth is a man who you can only assume lives in the gym and also off of steroids. "You're kind of supposed to be strong, right? Think you can beat me at this?" He brags and gestures to the machine. "That is 100% rigged," June says under her breath. There's a split second before you see Solux clearly deciding to play along. You know far too well from watching him with Dave. "Oh, sure I can," Solux smiles. $5, one swing, you gotta beat me," the man says with a flash of a smile. "You're on," Solux nods. He hops over to the booth, pays up, and the man very deliberately hands him a specific hammer. The man flexes, swings his hammer down onto the button at the base of his booth. The screen flashes a little buzzer, beeping, and trills out 587. Solux seems to consider this for a moment and does the same, but the number of his swing reads only 58, and the speaker makes a sad trombone noise for him. "Aw, too bad, little man," the buff guy at the stall says. Can I try?" June says meekly, in a way that's entirely unlike her, and steps up to the booth. "It's your $5. This is rigged anyway," Solux tuts, and the beefy guy opens his mouth to protest. "Oh, hey, I'm sure this nice guy wouldn't trick me. I mean, look at all those muscles," June laughs girlishly. "Now, this just seems unfair," the man chuckles. "What are you gonna do? Ask him for cash if you win? It's not a movie," Solux says with a dismissive snort. "Aw, no. Hey, how about this, man? I give you double, you let me play, and if I win, I just get my money back, and you keep all those honest dollars in your wallet, and I get a picture with you, and if you win, you get 10 instead of 5, yeah?" June says enthusiastically. The man pretends to consider this for a moment before shrugging and smiling. "Okay, sure thing, little lady," he says to her and hands out the same hammer he gave to Solux after she's paid her $10. June pretends to struggle with the hammer a little and giggles. You exchange a look with Karkat, who raises a thick, dark eyebrow in skepticism. You can't help but agree June is laying it on a little thick here. She's just lucky this moron doesn't have the brains to spot a trap when it's closing around him. The guy swings, his score this time being 601. He grins at June and gestures for her to have her turn. June steps up before the machine and eyes the hammer for just a second, before she lifts it above her head with both hands. She jumps a little in the air, and both her feet leave the ground as she swings the hammer down on the machine like a goddamn cartoon character. The machine rocks unsteadily under the force of her blow, the button cracked, and the screen flashing up with a triumphant 999. The man stares open-mouthed at the machine, and then at June, whose eyes flare in blue for just a second. "I'd let people use a normal hammer for the rest of the night if I were you," June suggests sweetly. Solux grins meanly and raises his phone. June throws up a quick peace sign and grins as the flash goes off. She puts her hands in her pocket and with faux surprise pulls out $10. "Oh, look, I got my money back. I sure hope the rest of the money in your wallet was honest, or else it's going to be awfully empty," June says in a sing-song voice. The man panics and fumbles for his wallet. "Can't trick a trickster. Play honest and you won't have any problems. Promise." June beams and saunters back to your group. That seemed a little mean. Everyone knows carnival games are rigged. Karkat tuts. "Lighten up, Karkat." June laughs. That seemed pretty well practiced. Karkat accuses Solux next. "Hey, helping June set up idiots for cosmically appropriate and funny downfalls was my favorite hobby back when I had more free time." Solux shrugs. "It was pretty funny," Dave agrees with a snicker. "I mean, yeah, but unsporting," Karkat protests. "Like, you're so perfect, your halo's gonna slip and strangle you someday, you know." Solux sneers at him. Karkat frowns, reaches into his pocket, and rummages for a moment before pulling out his hand with his middle finger brandished, which he shoves in Solux's face. You tune out when Solix tries to bite Karkat and instead consult the map on your phone. This little event got its own little app to promote it, and you can see that you're heading into the more amusement park area of the Valentine's event. A sense of unease fills you as your group wanders in, an itch of something on the back of your neck. You look over your shoulder but see no one paying you any amount of attention. Not behind the stall owners glancing at you or not beyond the stall owners glancing at you in case you might want to buy something. A pie eating contest? What is this, a country fair? Dave snorts, reading over your shoulder and poking at your screen to enlarge bits. Holy shit, they have Jolly Rancher flavored candy floss? I need it now! June gasps, pointing across a stall over the way. And a strong arm thing. Also, Dave, you have your own phone, so use it, Karkat reminds him. Dave gives his boyfriend a considering look and shifts from poking at your phone to instead doing the same to Karkat's. You wander past the medical tents, and you feel another tingle of an observation on you. You look, but there's nothing there. Are we? You start to say, but to Solux, but he talks over you instead. Aradia? He says. Everyone in your group freezes, and sure enough, on an otherwise unoccupied bench sits a girl with long black hair and a sad expression on her face. Whoa, you're not really thinking of going over there, are you? Dave asks incredulously. How is she here without anything dying? She can't manifest without a purpose, or else she just starts killing things off, but June trails off, and nothing is dying around her, nothing at all. It's not me or anyone else that I can hear, Solix says slowly as he looks around. Dude, Dave hisses. Just give me a moment, Solix insists and walks off towards Aradia. He stops a cautious distance from her, and the two start talking. She just seems really sad, and soon enough Solix sits down on the bench facing her with a puzzled look on his face. It looks like there are apologies going on, but you've no idea what brought the sudden change of heart on. I don't like this. I'm gonna go look around. Karkat, stay with the others, June says slowly, and fades into the evening breeze. I'm really not cool with her coming back, Dave says darkly, and glares at Aradia from across the way. Not that she seems to notice or care. I mean, she's not trying to kill him, so that's an improvement, Karkat reasons. Can the bar be any lower? Dave retorts. She's deaf. Let's maybe not challenge her on what she can do, yeah? Karkat suggests. Awareness prickles you again, and you turn around looking for the source. What? Dave starts to ask. Someone's watching me. I can feel it. Or I keep feeling it, you say quietly as you scan the stall and the booths around you. I've had nightmares about this carnival lately, and I thought they were just that, or were symbolic, but now I'm feeling they might be a little more literal. We should go, you say, trying to keep your volume down and your expression subtle, so people out of earshot won't know. They might just think you're looking around at the attractions.
Oh, excuse me.
You maybe could have mentioned this before, but yeah, let's go, Jade agrees. I'll go tell Solux. Karkat nods and takes a step towards Solux and Aradia. Movement catches your eye around the edge of a booth, and you have a moment of recognition, a dark figure in the shadows, curvaceous yet sharp. Your foolish brain has a confused moment of thinking, Kanaya? Before you're hit square in the face with something. You stagger back in shock, just missing bumping into Karkat, who has paused partway to Solux. What? Solux asks irritably, looking up at him. Karkat flounders for a moment before answering. June's just having a look around, Karkat tells him lamely. Yeah, I can see that, Solix says wapishly. Right. Sorry, Karkat backs off, walking right in front of you. His shoes kick off something on the ground, whatever just hit you. Looking down in horror, you see that it's your baby blanket. You snatch it up from the ground and experimentally wave your hand in front of Dave's face to no response at all. They can't see you. Great. And Kanaya had the box because she was investigating it at work, and you never got it back because you've been avoiding her like a coward. You turn back towards the stall that you saw Kanaya behind, and sure enough, she's lingering there. When she sees you looking, she ducks out of sight. Trying to get anyone here to notice you is futile. They can't even remember what you said that you said you should all leave, and now they're just awkwardly waiting around for Solux to finish talking to Aradia. If you want any chance of being able to talk to anyone, again, you're going to need to get this blanket back in the box, which you bet is with Kanaya. Gritting your teeth, you march to the back of the booth and find Kanaya there. What are you doing here, and why the hell did you throw this at me? No one can see me now, you demand, the urgent nature of your questions thankfully helping you sidestep any awkwardness. I'm sorry, I know I followed you quite a distance, Kanaya apologizes. Across state lines, yes, you agree, not caring about your volume because no one but her can hear you. I had a reason for it, I promise you, Kanaya assures you. Well, let's hear it. You need to put this back in its box right now, you insist, wagging the balled-up blanket in your hand at her. I can't. Not just yet, she says. Why not? You ask through gritted teeth. Gorgeous or not, this is unconscionable behavior, and you won't stand for it. I'm following your instructions. In the letter you left me telling me where to find you in England, there was also a sheet telling me to be right here today, that I had to make you invisible to everyone or else you'd die, and that I wasn't going to and that I wasn't to change it back until later tonight. Kanai explains. If my life is in danger, then what about them? You have to warn them at least. They can't hear me, you insist, waving a hand at your friends and family behind you. It says not to. I'm inclined to believe this letter after everything. I'm sorry. Kanaya shrugs. You grit your teeth and march away from her, angrily stomping through the dirt to get back to the others. As you reach the group, June reforms from the wind around her. Solux, we need to go. I just looked around. She's not the only horseman here, June says, pointing to Aradia. Solux looks between June and Aradia with an expression of mounting panic. There's a fight breaking out at the strong arm area because Mina's goading people on, and Jane is watching the pie eating contest. 3 horsemen is bad sign. We have to go, June insists. But you're not, Solux whispers, getting to his feet. Snowman's in the medical tents too, Aradia says softly, sadly even. Solux sprints a few paces to the rest of the group, pulling car keys out as he goes. We need to get the fuck out of here, but if I teleport to Roxy's, I could lead people there. We need to drive like the wind, Solux insists. I can help with that, June nods. Shit, if they teleport to the car without you, then you'll lose them. Out of the corner of your eye, you see Kanaya gesturing for you to return to her, but you're going to ignore it. Dave's back straightens and he gasps. You watch as he turns and makes a soft noise of alarm. Demon clown? Demon clown, Dave squeaks, pointing. You look that way, he's pointing and freeze in terror as the demon you've been dreaming of stalks closer, his eyes red with pinpricks, his eyes red with pinprick pupils. In one hand, he carries a dented and stained juggling club, and in the other, he's holding a long-limbed doll with a horrible plastic face. Jade, Solux says in a low and quiet voice. You remember where the car is, right? Take the keys, get Beck to bring you there, take Dave back to Roxy's with Carcat. If you think I'm leaving you here with him, you're out of your tiny mind, Carcat hisses. I'm not leaving without you, Dave agrees. Do it, Jade. I don't care what you have to do, Solux says as he passes her the keys. Jade takes them, and now that Solux's hands are free, he reaches into his chest and pulls out 2 swords. One of the same black you've seen before, and the other some gaudy circus-themed one that matches a hammer that June seems to pull out from the very air. Lightning creeps over her skin, and her hammer as she and Solux square up against the slowly approaching demon. Guess we're ditching subtle, Carcat mutters, pulling his own weapon out as people scatter from the scene. He's not complete yet, it's not too late, Solux says in a hushed voice. Yeah, well, maybe if we can stop that demon clown, then whatever you're trying to prevent will be halted in its tracks. There's only one of him and all of us. Damara said... Carcat starts. There ain't gonna be any stopping here, the demon says lowly as he comes to a stop a good 10 feet away from your group. I'll stop you if it's the last thing I do, Solux snarls at him. It will be the last motherfucking thing you do, the clown yells at him, his hand tightening on his weapon. Why would you say that? Carcat hisses at Solux. But it won't stop me. The clown smiles and squeezes the puppet in his grip a little tighter. We'll see about that, June says. You stare as your friend's eyes glow like neon lights. She shifts off the floor as her hair whips around her in a building funnel of air. She lifts her hand with her hammer in it skywards, and the heavens rumble, the clear night sky filling with ominous clouds. With a crack so loud you hear it in your very bone marrow, lightning snaps down from above and redirects through June's hammer and out of her fingers, which points right at the demon. The thing shrieks and is flung back with a contortion of muscle. Solux doesn't give him time to recover, and instead lunges forward to attack the very moment the lightning is gone. The crowd has run screaming from all of you. When you see people walking towards you, it catches your attention. Omen, with long glittering braids, grins as she leans against a tree and watches the fight. She's eating popcorn, of all things. At her side, Jane watches with curious eyes that look through you. You turn around to see Aradia and find her standing by the bench she and Solux were sat at before. Only now there's a strange woman at her side, in a stained white lab coat over an evening dress. Aradia watches Solux fight the clown demon with red-rimmed eyes and an expression of deepest sorrow on her face. She's here for someone, You kept dreaming of a doll like Solux mutilated. You look back with your heart in your throat as the clown demon kicks Solux away, leaving Karkat to lurch forward to catch him. In his attempt to get there faster, his wings slip out, giving him a boost of speed, but the sight of them seems to only enrage the demon further. Get the fuck away from him, Gamsey, Solux snarls as he parries a club strike meant to Karkat. Solux pushes Karkat back towards Dave and Jade, just in time for Karkat to throw up a shield that blocks another thrown club. If he hadn't, that would have surely hit Jade in the face. Shit, you can't hang around being useless like this. You turn and sprint back towards Kanaya. As much as it hurts to leave the fight, you can't do anything when people don't know you exist. Kanaya at least hasn't run off, but she's watching the fight with terrified eyes. Rose, you need to stay here, Kanaya whispers urgently to you. No, you need to put this back so I can help, you insist. I can't, Kanaya says in a strangled tone of voice. Your eyes flick to her bag of holding at her hip and you lunge for it, but you're no match for the speed and strength of a vampire. Kanaya grabs both your wrists in one hand and pulls you back. I'm really sorry, she apologizes. Before you can do anything more, you hear Jade and Dave scream at the same time, and your head snaps around to look. Karkat is standing between the clown-painted demon and Dave and Jade. He has his arms raised, and you realize that one of his sickles is held one of his sickles is held in right now it's embedded in the demon's guts. The demon grins, an expression that goes a little slack, and he slides lower and lower on Karkat's defensively raised weapon, slicing him in half in a gruesome and slow motion fashion. Oh god, I didn't mean to, Karkat blurts out. He seems unsure of what to do as the demon drops the terrible puppet and his weapon on the dirt by Karkat. That was way too easy, June says suspiciously. Easy? Karkat shouts hysterically as two halves of the demon slap wetly on the floor on either side of him. Why would he let you do that, and why isn't he? Solux freezes, staring down at the ground. Kanaya's grip on you has slackened in shock, and so you break free and run to the others. The demon's body is still in two halves on the ground. It's not changing like the dead ones you've seen before. In fact, the purple blood is seeping over the ground towards the puppet. Beck's hackles raise up, and he growls low and deep. Wait, no. Solux yelps and dives for the puppet. He doesn't make it. Before Solux can grab the puppet and jerk it away from the spreading blood on the ground, the puppet's arms jerk up and wrap around Solux's neck. The demon's bisected body fizzles into nothingness, and the puppet rises on strings you can't see, dangling Solux by the throat. His face is still a plasticky rictus as it was before, but now it's somehow far more alive as it leans forward towards your struggling and terrified friend. It laughs at him in tones that make your blood freeze. Solux's eyes are wide and terrified, his ears flat and low in a way you've never even seen before. Everyone seems stuck to the spot in utter terror, except for one person. Beck! Sick! Jade shouts, pointing at the puppet. With an almighty snarl, Beck launches himself at the puppet like a furry missile, radioactive green mouth open and teeth bared. His teeth sink into the plush arm holding Solux aloft, and he scrabbles, shaking his head and pulling stuffing loose. The puppet continues to laugh, but with its other arm it swipes for Beck. You don't see the attack or what happens to Beck. There's a bright flash of green, and Beck skids across the ground on all four paws, right by Jade. You think he dodged. Beck's attack seems to have distracted the puppet enough for Solux to teleport away and get himself between the puppet and Dave. What the fuck is that thing? Karkat demands, raising a hand and a glimmering shield around their group. He's the other thing like me. We're fucked. We're so fucked. I've never been able to beat him in a fight, Solux whimpers. Yeah, well, you're not on your own now, Karkat tells him uneasily. Beck growls and barks angrily at the puppet, who has started laughing again on the other side of the barrier. You pull your needles out. You've no idea what spell might possibly damage something that's got all of Solux's freaky extra demonic abilities and also stronger than him, but you have to do something, surely. The puppet laughs and flings its noodly arms up in the air. June snaps her hands shut and lightning hits the puppet, but the thing doesn't so much as twitch. It doesn't leave any mark it doesn't leave even a mark, and speaking of which, all the damage Beck did is now gone. It howls, its hand trembling in the air. What's it doing? Karkat hisses. I don't know, Solux whispers in terror. You stare at the puppet's hands. Wait, if it's a puppet, then Squinting, you turn your gaze just above its hands, and there, you spot the tiny glimmer of gossamer, thin strings stretching up into the sky. Your eyes follow them up into the clouds. A puppet needs a puppet master, right? Those strings are leading into the sky, and thick as the clouds are, you know the moon is hanging just above you tonight, full and ominous. You know what's in the moon. There's no point in shouting your realization to the others. They won't help you because they can't hear you. They won't help you because they can't hear you. Your best chance is to try to stop this monster yourself. You point a needle at it. Brute force won't work, but a spell might. You reach for one of the earliest ones you learned. One that might just work on a piecemeal assembled being like this. You try to open the monster puppet. It's clearly made of different things, so all you need to do is rip them out at the seams. Though you hold the spell clearly in your mind, it refuses to catch, and when you try to force more energy down, it backfires, snapping shut on you and throwing you backwards. That won't work, Arati says softly, looking down at you. You can see me? You say in shock. No one can hide from death, Aradia says, as if it's simple and obvious. She's not even looking at you now, but rather at the sky. From your position on the ground, you stare up at the clouds in dread. A shockwave rushes through the air, dispersing June's clouds in an instant. The moon hangs huge in the sky, bigger than it should be possible or real, and you realize that the puppet, which is now illuminated by its light, has sharply lowered its arms at what passes for its elbows. It happens slowly, and then all at once. There's a line on the moon, faint, and you're not sure if it's there at first, and then in one horrible motion the moon splits open. The two halves separate like eggshells, and inside is filled with an impossible, squirming darkness. There's a rush against all of your magically inclined senses, and then, in a blink of an eye, the moon is in two halves that hang open and hollow. You tremble in terror at the impossible sight above you, and it's only when something inky and deep and dark nudges your head and you look down at your friends once more. You get to your feet, legs shaking like a baby deer. All the while the puppet continues its horrible, grating laugh. Solux is holding Dave's hand so tight his knuckles are going white, and you somehow are not surprised when fire rolls through the air and recedes a moment later, revealing a figure 10 feet tall looming over the others. He is imposing in ways that aren't just to do with his height. His skin and hair are white. Though his hair is white like Dave's, his skin is an actual and natural porcelain shade, where Dave, although pale, is at least human. The man's face is impassive as the exact white ceramic you likened him to, and his eyes are hidden behind pointed black glasses. His mouth is a flat line, although green blood drips from his chin onto the white shirt he's wearing. He waves a hand ever so slightly, and the puppet immediately falls silent. The man opens his mouth enough to lick his green-stained teeth, and the world around is somehow so silent that you can actually hear him do it. Dirk, you can't, June starts. You helped make the spell, put a lot of god power into it, the man, Dirk, the devil, says. June starts. The devil raises a hand, and a katana appears in it. He swings for June in a motion so fast you can't even make it out. One moment, June is raising her hammer to block, and the next she's not even there. A distant explosion grabs your attention off in the direction behind where June had just been, and you watch open-mouthed as a far-off skyscraper tumbles down on itself. The puppet starts to laugh, and Beck has the good sense to grab Jade and bail. He doesn't know, please, Solix begs, putting himself between the devil and Dave. What? The devil says simply, a statement, demand, and question in one flat tone. Whatever the details of the spell were, it needed more power. Dave's powers and his memories, they're gone. He doesn't know. I mean, maybe he can use them now but he doesn't know anything, Solix babbles in nonsensical explanation. Oh, fuck this isn't happening. Karkat snaps and raises a hand. The air around him, Solix and Dave, shimmers defensively. Karkat, that won't, Solix tries to warn him, but the devil's sword smashes through his barrier with ease. With his hand free, the devil grabs Karkat up like a toy, and that finally snaps Dave out of his stunned terror. No, Karkat, Dave yells, reaching over Solix's shoulder for him. Solix was also partway to reaching up for Karkat, but freezes at the look the devil gives him. For once, there's a flicker of actual expression there, and it's anger. You fucking piece of shit, dick prince, angel, ex-angel, pick on someone your own size, put me down! Karkat screeches at him, making you slam your hands over your ears to protect yourself. The devil turns his head and you see it just as he does. Several of the stalls have been flattened in the escape of the innocent bystanders and in the blast from the moon's destruction. With some of them gone, it's easier now to see the mid-sized Ferris wheel just across the way. Your dream, Karkat and the fairground ride, and this man, you scream and break into a run, but the devil's already thrown Karkat. You sprint after him as fast as you possibly can, leaping fallen stalls until you get to the Ferris wheel. There's a bit in the middle of it, a pin or something, only it's huge because it's a huge wheel by comparison to Karkat's size, maybe the width of your leg. It's sticking out of Karkat's chest. He gasps, clawing at it, and then dissolves into light and flashes upwards into the sky. Horror and agony has made you numb, frozen to the spot as the scarf you made Karkat falls onto the ground without him. It must have been the only real thing he was wearing. You stare at the gray wool on the ground and numbly pick it up. Your hands tighten in it, and cold rage boils through you, your nails digging your palms through the scarf. Turning around, you storm towards the devil, Solux and Dave. Clearly, they both saw what just happened, given the horror on their faces. For what? To be human? You want to be human so bad? Fine, the devil is hissing at Dave and Solux as you get back. Bad human kids get grounded, and their toys get taken away, he snarls. Panic flashes over Solux's face as the devil snaps a hand out at him. Solux chokes and gasps, which is understandable given the hand suddenly in his torso. With a sharp jerk, the devil yanks his hand back, a glowing red rib there held instead. The light in Solux's eyes flick off, and he tumbles to the ground lifeless. Dave screams, but as the devil sinks into the ground with a red glow, so does he. You can't get to him in time to stop it, and he wouldn't see you to grab your hand anyway. So you stand there for a moment, your moirail scarf in your hand, your friend dead at your feet, your other two friends either dead or missing, and your brother dragged to hell, and a cold anger burning inside you. The devil is a god, right? Add something to your to-do list then. Kill a god. Oh. How we feeling tonight, boys? Solux is dead, Karkat's dead, and Dave's been dragged to hell. I forgot that this is this chapter. We started getting to the carnival scene. I was like, oh shit, it's this one. Tomorrow's Thursday. Yes, we do. Thank God this isn't. Imagine this is the cliffhanger for the weekend. Imagine this was the cliffhanger for the weekend. That would have been fucking wild. That would have been wild. But yeah. Lovely fucking chapter. It would have been very funny. It would have been very funny. We somehow still have 10 chapters left, which is wild. But we're hitting the climax. We're hitting we're really hitting it in strides. Oh my goodness. Oh. It would not be funny, Chris, not funny. Well then, you guys know tomorrow to come to stream. Same time, same place as usual. I would go to the next chapter because I usually like to hold it the next chapter, but I kind of don't want to I don't want to show anything on accident. But next chapter is chapter 36, Woke Up Like a Rebel, and at 17k words, or actually almost 18k. So about the same length as this one. Actually pretty much exactly the same length. Shaking someone by both shoulders, I don't know who, but someone in chat is getting aggressively shaked. Giggle, 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 giggle. I'm a giggly little guy. We still have 163k words. That means that I have read almost 600k words on stream. That is crazy to me. Holy shit, that is so many words. I've read so many words out loud on these streams. Wow. Wow. All right, well, that is the end. That is the end of this chapter for today. So I am gonna go. I'm gonna go. Are you publishing the VOD right after this? I will. You'll have to check on Twitch. Not YouTube, because I'm a little bit behind on YouTube VODs, but like right after I'll stream, I'll publish it, and you can just refresh the video page or the past broadcast page until it pops up, and then you can take a peek. Anyway, Solux is dead. Solux is dead. Little crab, you know the crab emoji. Solux is dead. Crab emoji. Yikes! Yikes! Yeah. Oof. There it is. Solux and Carcat are dead. Carcat got impaled. Impaled. Why the crab emoji? No, surely not. Surely not. We do have 10 chapters left. Aradia was there though. They cannot take Soulcat from me like this. You know what? But you know what? At least they both died. I feel like Solux would. At least there's the duality in that. At least they're both dead. Soulcat got stabbed and Dave got dragged to hell. Yup. This is not a good day for the Dave Soulcat. This is a bad day for the Dave Soulcat community. You are not funny. I think I am though. Oh my goodness. Alright, well that's the stream. I will say, I do not know where that cow laugh came from. I was just like, I was reading, because obviously I can read ahead and I know what to expect. And I was like, shit, I have to do like a laugh for Cal. Like I have to like, I have to like commit, right? I won't commit to singing, but I will commit to maniacal laughter on stream. I think that's funny. I think that says a lot about me. I think that says a lot about me. It's fun. It's fun doing the wild, the fucking freaky laugh. He grabbed you, he did. Possessed me like a little man. Alright, well that will be the stream. Why are you so good at it? I don't know. I feel like it's quite easy to do a maniacal laughter if you're just willing to commit, right? Maybe I shouldn't be though, because it's like 11 p.m. and I have roommates. So they're just fucking hearing me be batshit insane in my room. Yeah, we did get like Pale Rose Cat confirmation, and then in the same chapter, Carcat is dead, Solux is dead, Dave is in hell now. So, you know, this is you win some, you lose some. I guess. But yeah, all right. Well, that is all for me today, guys. Yeah. We will be back again like I said, tomorrow, 9 p.m. EST. We will do chapter 36. Be here if you would like to. Obviously, you don't have to, but I mean, if you want to. Hope you all have a lovely night. I will talk to you all later. Good night. Good night. Good night. Bye bye. Bye bye. Bye bye.